Dr. Adams, thank you for joining us again this evening. My question is, I know you said this film is 23 years old now, so I'm going to ask you to think way, way back. And was going to ask if maybe you could share one or two of your like most fondest memories of filming, of the whole process and working with those actors and those filmmakers. What are some of your fondest memories from that?
Gosh, where do I even begin? Irene Bedard, who played Susie, and Michelle St. John, who played Velma. She was one of the two women in the car. Were two of my dearest friends, and I just remember feeling like love you have for your sister at Christmas time, being with them. And I remember laughing and laughing and laughing at Adam's wig. His wig was called Jennifer, because when it came in, and they had all these wigs to choose from, for some reason they chose this terrible looking wig called Jennifer. It literally said Jennifer on the tag, and had this like 1950s model on it or something, just weird. And we thought, I don't know, is this a Jennifer Aniston look? Like, what is this? And of course, I was sitting across from him for such a long time, arguing, acting, and I'm looking at his wig moving all over the place. And I kept looking around saying, am I the only one seeing this? Like, why are we shooting with this ridiculous wig? And there had been this long buildup to what he was going to do with his hair, as in, was he actually going to cut his hair in the scene with a knife? And in the end, he decided he wouldn't do it. So hence they had to bring in the wig, maybe at the last minute. And yeah, it's maybe they were saying, like beading, you cannot have perfection. You have one bead that's misplaced, and that's it in the film. So anyway, that made me laugh over and over and over again. I would see Adam in the morning go, Jennifer, so nice to see you.
Well, for those folks who've seen this movie before, you just answered a very important question, I think. At least for me, that's the thing I've been wondering all these years. So it looks like next question goes to Shandine.
Yes, hello. I unfortunately missed your keynote speech earlier, so I'm really excited to watch that recording. But, and yeah, I didn't realize it's been 23 years since this movie first came out. That's awesome. But I wanted to kind of ask you about kind of a two-part question, I guess, about how you feel about how far we've come in terms of like representation in like Native entertainment. Like there's been 23 years and there's still not like a ton of, representation, and there's not a ton of movies being made about us. So I was just wondering if you had like kind of some opinions, or like, I don't know, just like some suggestions for how that moves forward. And also I'm really interested to know if you have any interest in making a return to the screen. I feel like you'd make a great West Studi type, like some good grandpa energy. Not saying you're a grandpa, but I just feel like you have that wisdom about you now. You've grown up out of the Thomas character.
Oh, buddy. Thank you. Oh gosh. Well, when I was younger, I just thought anybody could be on TV or in. Sorry, that's not quite true. When I was maybe 15 or 16, I met a Native actor. Canada has this amazing First Nations actress named Margot Kane, stage actress, brilliant. She played on the stage starting in the 60s, and I'd never seen a Native actor. And then my kind of imagination lit on fire that we could tell stories. And then I thought, oh yeah, well I can tell stories. Let me tell stories. And it wasn't until I got into the business that I saw it wasn't just art. It was very commercial art. It had to sell. And and I thought, okay, well, let's sell what I have. If you need me to be funny, or like just if you need something classical, like let me try, let me go, I'll do it. And it took me a while to figure out that a lot of populist media and audiences are not that interested in our truths, like who we really are. They actually much prefer their simple notions of who we are. And I thought, oh, that's fine. Art, fine art is not for everyone. I'm thinking of ballet or opera, where lots of people say, what are they doing? This is not that interesting. So I definitely wanted to, I definitely started to want to see other Native artists and what they were depicting, who they were saying we were. And that I still find endlessly fascinating. I love meeting young filmmakers, young writers. I like meeting hip young people with new thoughts I've never heard. I just hunger for that, because they're quite original. And American Indian people and artists are often, really strong characters, and they're undervalued. But I like to think that I can see them. Like the unwashed masses can't see how spectacular they are, but I can. And return to the screen. My gosh, you know what I feel like? I feel like an old soccer player. Like back in the 70s, back in the day, I could run like the wind, and now I can kick the ball a little bit. Actually, I can kick the ball pretty good, because I learned some good skills way back when. But it's still like pretty pathetic compared to what I used to do. But if someone invites me to a ball game, I'm like the first one out there going, yeah, I love to chase the ball. I love to chase the ball. Let's go.
Thank you for the question. Actually, to go off of that topic a little bit about storytelling, I have a two-part question myself. So as Thomas, what was your favorite story to tell? And then as a doctor, what are your insights on storytelling as healing?
Well, luckily I went to a Native theater school. There are almost none in the Americas. There are probably like less than 5. And I got to go to one. And I was lucky enough to grow up in my home community. So I saw elders, and I used to marvel at how they could tell stories. And I wanted to do what they did. I remember one elder talking about Raven being in the canoe, and he was half in the canoe and half out of the canoe. And just the way she said it, you could see it. And I thought, it's a deceiving simplicity there to draw someone in. So I had tried, like Thomas, to tell stories in our way. And so when the role of Thomas came up, and 2 actors had played Thomas before me, and they were not happy with what they saw. And I said, let me try, I can do it. But actors get that feeling a lot, that, let me try, I'll give you something. And they let me do it. And I had no idea that people would respond to it. I was just trying, because Sherman Alexie, I considered him like a poet. Like, you can't just rearrange his words. You can't just make it up or say something kind of like what he said. You have to be word perfect. And so in telling those stories, I was really, I really was trying to be, in my head, I was the most beautiful old woman you've ever seen. And I was trying to remember these incredible words perfectly. So it was a very immersing experience. And when I see the film, it looks nothing like what I was experiencing. It's very weird. To me, I'm a beautiful old lady, and I watch the screen, and there's this weird looking boy, that irritates some people, but but for me, I'm this beautiful thing. It's funny. And as far as healing, you know, I became a doctor. I'm around people at the worst moments in their lives when they've lost something, like maybe lost their husband, lost their leg, lost their health. I'm with them at I'm around them for like births, for when they're bleeding and screaming and crying, and I'm there. And I thought, what's the truth of us? Because I work almost always with Native people, of how we experience our lives versus what's put up on the screen. And I'm constantly amazed by the human experience, and amazed by what we put up as pictures of ourselves. Like, this is me. Like, I hope all of you think about who you are. If you were going to, if you were thinking, and this sounds a bit morbid, but it's not. If someone was going to talk about your life and say, this is what they did, what would you want them to say about you? How would you want to be remembered? And of course, you don't want to be remembered as, you know, some crabby, dumb, you know, shallow person. You want to be remembered as someone who tried for great things and was beautiful inside and out, and who did their best. So I think of life as being like that. You're in a movie, and it should be a really good movie, not a really boring one. Not one where you're, you know, worried about, oh, today the most important thing that happened to me is I stubbed my toe. Let me tell you about how I stubbed my toe, my whole toe. So anyway, that's I do think, I call it bounce. I hope you bounce in the morning, like whatever happened yesterday. And I know you could have had your heart broken in the most terrible ways, but can you bounce today? Can you reach for more? Can you get up? Because there's something there.
Where's the food? Jingle, it's on the roof. Crazy guy.
Anyway, that's it.
Thank you for that. It looks like we have a few folks who want to ask some questions. The first one up is Desiree.
Hi, Dr. Adam. So nice to meet you. Growing up, my grandma would invite myself and my cousins to come see Smoke Signals. So my first question would be if you can say hi to my grandma, Mary Lou.
Hey, Mary Lou. How are you doing? Where's Mary Lou?
Thank you. And I'm also an aspiring, you know, pre-med student. I'm a second year in undergrad. What advice would you provide to Native youth who, you know, are willing and, you know, trying to make sure that they can serve their Native community the best that they can?
What a beautiful question. You are absolutely the right person. And medical school or any kind of training, but I think the helping professions can be a really tough road. It's a bit like training for the Olympics, I think. You know, you're in school for 4 years or 8 years, and you're working really hard, and you have to get up and perform, go hard. And there are days where you come in last. It's just gonna happen. There are gonna be days where you limp. There are gonna be days where you made a mistake. You went too hard the day before. Or something bad happened, you know, because you're a human being and you have family, and you know, through no fault of your own, you have to stop and help them, and you have to come back and say, wow, I didn't do you know, what was expected from me in my program, and someone will say something to you. They'll say, you didn't come in properly, and you have to be able to take that. It's really hard, but I think sometimes we forget that we're really tough. Like, you can't lie down and die because someone rolled their eyes at you and said, you have to, and I always did this a lot when I was in school. I would go, yeah, there's nobody behind me to take my place. It's me who's going to be looking after our people. So you're stuck with me. Yes, I know. I wish I was smarter, faster, stronger, whatever, but I'm it, and I'm dedicated, and I completely believe my people need and deserve help. So, and it's really hard because it's so much easier to sit on the couch and watch TV, and it's so much easier to actually be an awful person. So anyway, I wish you luck with your studies, and just like I said before, you do have to believe you're the best person for this role, and your role is going to be healing or helping or loving or having a big heart or being the kindest person, and you have to really believe it. You can't just fall apart after 6 hours or after a bad day. You get up and you go again, and you'll see just how tough you are. For many of you, you just don't have the experience to see how tough you are. No one's tested you yet. But you know, when you're my age, you look back on it and you think, wow, I ran I ran a lot. Like I had lots of days in my training. I put in lots of miles and miles and miles, and I have experience, and I know when I hit the wall, and I know I have limits. And it's gonna be fine.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. I really appreciate your wisdom and support.
Thank you. So it looks like next one up is Chad.
Hey, Dr. Adams. Nice to meet you.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So for the millionth time that I've seen this movie, it seems kind of supernatural that I'm able to ask you questions. So my question has to do with, I'm really drawn to John Trudell's personality and his artistry. And I forgot for a second because it had been a while since I've seen the movie. So what a great way to watch it again. Forgot that he was in it. Can you speak a little bit on any conversations that you had with him over that period, or maybe you even stayed in touch with him afterwards? Yeah, if you could kind of talk a little bit about that, I'd be interested in hearing.
Yeah, so John Trudell is a legend, and you know, talk about a lifetime, talk about decades of just courage, just plain old courage, sticking up for us, fighting the good fight. And my dad used to say to me, you know, one day you'll meet someone who will steal from you. They'll steal the things you have. They'll even try and hurt you. They'll even try and hurt your family standing next to you, and you have to be ready. You have to be brave. And I remember thinking, I won't be brave. I you know, someone hits me, someone you know, tries to hurt my sister. I don't think I'm that strong. And I think John was that strong. He stood up straight year after year after year. So, and when I was around him, he was very gentle and still in a way that I had never seen someone be still. Because I thought he would be angry and twitchy or mouthy or I don't know. Like I guess I didn't really know what a truly strong person would be like. We just talked about the movie. We just talked about doing this and that, as in, you know, he had quite a varied career. He wasn't a pure actor. Like, you know, for me, that's all I'd ever done since I was a kid. I couldn't really talk about anything else. I didn't know anything about politics or leadership or being an advocate or a rebel. I knew none of that. All I could do was just kind of hear what he had to say. But he wasn't obnoxious or anything. He was just really gentle, and I never saw the fire in him because it. You know, we were in a very protected space, and we were doing something very loving in creating these characters. But he was very beloved and immensely respected. And absolutely, we stayed in touch, and he was very close friends with many of my friends. So I would hear about him, and I even more so though, I hear that he was an inspiration to lots of people like you, and I'm so glad because we need true heroes. I used to hate how people would glorify celebrities, even if they were like lousy people, rapists and mouthy and ugly on the inside. But he was truly a great person. So yeah, we miss him, and they don't make them like that very often. I'm not going to say anymore because God, I am amazed at some of our young people, how tough they are, how strong they are. So I know we're going to see some really fierce, principled young leaders. Absolutely, for sure. Wow, I'm giving you long answers tonight. Sorry, I'll try and brief them up so we fit more questions in.
It was a fantastic answer. Thanks so much, and thanks for doing your part in this movie. It's timeless, and you should be very, very proud of it. I can tell that you are. But thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Chad, for that question. Looks like next one is Lily.
Oh, hello. Hi. So one of the things I was hoping, I think you probably answered this question by now, or you got this asked lots of times, but for the movie, what do you think makes it so relatable or timeless or universal after all these 20 plus years since it's been released?
Yeah, I wonder about that a lot because I've done actually quite a lot of work, mostly in Canada, but probably at least 150 shows, and this is the one that people remember. And I was in lots of bad shows, but I didn't know they were going to be bad. Just like I didn't know Smoke Signals was going to be good. Every job you take on, you want it to fly. You want people to see it. You want it to be amazing and impactful. And a lot of the time, not a lot, but some of the time, you fall short, and you can even be in a really bad piece, even after trying really, really hard. So yeah, I've looked at Smoke Signal and thought, why does this touch people? I think one of them is that there's room for your story in this movie. It's the strangest thing, as in, what about your dad? What about your Rez? What about your friend? What about your kind of inner grandma? So I think that's part of it. Part of it is we had never seen some of those stories, like Gary Farmer and Tantu Cardinal in their fight scene. They play young Victor's parents, where they fight, and he throws her down. We had never seen that on screen. Like actors watching them, we saw them go for it. They wanted to portray, those drunken parents that we had seen and that we absolutely feared, and that we never thought we'd ever see on the screen. Like, why would someone put that kind of horror up there? But they did, and it helped us. So that was pretty moving, and we kept having scene after scene where we went, oh, we've never seen that before. We've never seen a young storyteller, let alone even an older storyteller. Or, oh, look, Indians riding on a bus. Look, Indians in a confrontation with some white guys. Like we just had never seen it. So, so it was it was partly that. Partly it was the hidden comedy and the hidden tragedy in it. It's a pretty dark film. It's pretty funny, pretty stupidly funny sometimes, and you don't kind of expect that. So I guess that's surprising. I don't know. I really don't know. Sometimes art just nails it, and you don't know why. And of course, it misses a lot of notes. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but it's certainly tried to go there, and I think it's pretty successful. Like that bridge scene is a piece of art for the ages. It really is.
Thank you very much for answering my question. I guess there aren't words to describe beauty sometimes, or like great art. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. So a movie is probably worth 1 billion words, since it's a bunch of pictures over a long time.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it. I think a lot of it goes to the director of photography who created those incredibly beautiful images. Sometimes I was shocked because what he put on film was not necessarily what I was seeing with my human eye, and very often what film captures is less than what you can see with the human eye, because the human eye is extraordinary. So yeah, it was very beautiful in places for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Lily. So I think we have about time for about 1 or 2 more questions. I see Karen asked in the chat, is there any book that you would like to see turned into a feature film?
Yes. Sherman Alexie, however people feel about him, wrote a book called Indian Killer, where Native people are moved to violence, to revolution. Native people have been very peaceful in the Americas, no matter what happens to them. And this thought of someone who, for whatever reason, whether they're twisted or crazy, whether they're political, because you don't know in the book who the killer is and why they're killing these people. And so you have to consider: is it this young student? Is it this schizotypal or schizophrenic young man? Is it is it someone who hates men? Is it someone who's racist and hates white people? Is it a white person who's trying to blame Native? I don't know. So anyway, it's just very political to me. But I don't think anyone would ever make it. I don't think audiences would consent to a race-based Native American killer. I think they couldn't stomach it, even though TV is full of killings. Like, you just flip the channels and you see people being killed on the screen nonstop. It's actually kind of boring how often people turn to killing as a kind of story. Anyway, it's one that I think of often, because I think of our role in the Americas, as original peoples who were pushed to the margins to make way for ways of migration, and we come in last in our own lands now, and we don't raise our voices, or our voices are not heard very much. So I guess that's what I liked about that story, because it was actualizing the kinds of anger that some of us feel. I also did a few scenes from that book with Benjamin Bratt. Do you remember Benjamin Bratt? Everyone knows him. Yeah, good. So him and I did some scenes from Indian Killer, and so for a few months I had to think about what would it take for me to kill. It wasn't a very successful journey. I'm not really a killer, and most people wouldn't ever believe me as a killer, but I tried to go there.
All right, thank you for that. And it looks like our last question is going to go to Maddie.
Hi, Dr. Evans. Thank you so much for an incredible event today. It was such a pleasure working with you the past couple of days. I just wanted to let you know, this is more of just thanking you. I just want to let you know I'm still receiving quite a few accolades on such a great event today. This is our first cultural event in Native American Heritage Month, set it off for all of us. So I'm going to ask you a fun question, okay? I'm going to ask, if you're going to make your life into a movie, because you've accomplished so much, obviously, and you've done incredible work, who would play you? Who would you like? What actor would like to play you? What actor would you like to play you?
Janine Garofalo.
Oh, he's hilarious.
No, I don't know, because I don't have a strong picture of myself. As in, I hate seeing myself. I don't watch my work, and I don't like to think about what I've become. Because because we can't see ourselves, and I think it's something from when I was training as an actor. It was you can't see yourself. You don't have eyes outside yourself, and your internal experience is different from what people see or expect. And as a short, gay Indian, people thought I was something completely different than what I felt I was. So I guess I learned not to really care or bother with what other people were thinking. And of course, I quickly learned too, as an actor, is that most people are hardly even noticing you. Their internal life is so strong. So yeah, I don't have a sense who could play me. But I wish I was like Janine Garofalo, because I think she's incredibly bright and I'm glad you all went for the laughs today. That really, I think that's so important. It's so much a part of our culture to be very warm with each other. And so thanks for the chance to be that today.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Adams. Again, it's a pleasure working with you.
Yes, and with all of you, thank you so much, and thanks for coming by tonight. We'll see you in the movies.